Hi, we're going to do Unit 1, second half review. The first two questions were on the first test. It's a multi-step, just solving. And then we're going to do inequalities, add, subtract polynomials, and literal equations. I've written in green the skill code, so I'll try to move over so that you can see those real quick. So if you are stuck on a problem, you can skim through the review and find the skill code that you need. So number one, when you have a fraction, your first thought is to multiply times the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So 3 divided by 2. But if you multiply 3/2 on both sides, 15 is not divisible by 2. So instead, I'm going to multiply times the denominator. The denominator is 3. And so multiply both sides times 3. So 3 times 2/3. The 3's cancel. But I still have to distribute the 2. So 2 times -3 is -6m. 2 times -4 is -8. And then 3 times -15 is -45. So since I'm solving for m, I need to get rid of the other term on the same side. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. The -6m comes down, equal sign comes down, and -45 plus 8 is -37. When you subtract, or when you add and the signs are opposite, you subtract and take the sign of the larger number. And then last but not least, we are going to divide by -6 because that's what's being multiplied to the m. Negative divided by a negative is a positive, and so m equals 37 divided by 6. So 37 is not an even number. 3 plus 7 is 10, so 10 is not divisible by 3, neither is 37, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a prime. So that is your final answer. Number 2. Now number 2 is divisible by 2, so you can multiply both sides times the reciprocal. So whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So 5 divided by 5 is gone. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 times all that is just that. So that's why you multiply times the reciprocal. So 2r plus 6 comes down, and 5/2 times -2, we're going to get negative. The 2's cancel, and we end up with a 5. Opposite of adding 6 is subtracting 6. And of course, at any time, you can pick up your calculator, and it could have done the multiplication for you. -5 minus 6 is -11, and it equals 2r. And then again, opposite of multiplication is division. I prefer that your answers are in improper fractions and not mixed numbers. Yes, they will take a mixed number, but decimals, you need to leave it as a fraction unless it says round to the nearest hundredth. You'll be less likely to miss it. Number 3, so on inequalities, there are two rules. One, you want the x to be on your left. Second rule is if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. So this one is a little bit unique in the fact that, and there we go, now we can see the skill code, is that my x is on the right. So if I flip it over, I have -3x, and again, the closed sides facing x is less than or equal to -7. But when I then divide by -3, you're going to have to flip the inequality again. So when you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. And of course, the negative divided by a negative is a positive. So on inequalities, we have less than and greater than is open circle, less than and greater than and equal to is a closed circle. So this would be an example of a closed circle. And once you press check on this one, it'll auto-populate the number in the box. So it'll populate the 7/3. If that box is empty, you didn't press check on the first part. And it is greater, so we're going to shade to the right. Okay, number 4. And real quick, just notice I ended up back where I came because I flipped it from putting X on the left, and it flipped because of the dividing by negative. Okay, number 4. I'm solving for X, so I'm going to get rid of 10. And let me zoom in a little bit. So the opposite of a positive 10 is a negative 10. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So 5x is less than equal to 6 minus 10 is negative 4. And then I divide by 5. And so on the first two, since it's just one variable, you do not have to enter the r equals or the m equals. But since it's an inequality, you do have to equal the entire equation or the entire answer. X is less than equal to negative 4/5. And so it is a solid circle, and you're going to be shading to the left. And again, when you hit check on the top portion, it will auto-populate the number in the box. Okay. Number 5. Don't forget, you can do these using y1 and y2 in the intersection, but you do have to mentally think if you're going to flip the sign. So for instance, negative 3 times negative 2 gives you positive 6, but when I subtract the 16, I'm going to end up with a negative on the left. So therefore, I know that my answer is going to be X is less than something. Okay, so for number 6, I have 28x on the left, and 6 times 6 is 36. So when I subtract 36, it's going to be a negative number also. So my answer is going to end up with, I'm going to put it over here, x is less than equal to. So refer back to my other videos on how to do those